Hello, and welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Judith Patterson. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Texas, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make a few cards with Sending Smiles stamps. And I'm also using the glorious Gingham Designer Series paper. This is 6x6 paper, and this is where I got my color inspiration from for these three cards. I'll be using Berry Burst, the Blueberry Bushel, Lemon Lime Twist, and you know what? This one is actually not Lemon Lime Twist. This one is Parakeet Party. Blanked on that name, but I did use Lemon Lime Twist instead of Parakeet Party. And Pretty Peacock. The other color in this is Pecan Pie, which I love. Pecan Pie and this color, but I did not use this one for these cards. In fact, I didn't use all of the gingham pieces for these cards, but I did use some of it, and I did kind of get my color inspiration from this paper. And of course, I'll also be using the sending dies that coordinate with this stamp set. Now, this card, or this is my card class to go this week. So you have through July 2nd to place an order with this host code in order to get this class to go for free. So if your order is $35 before shipping and tax, then you'll get this class in the mail when you use the host code by the end of the day, July 2nd. If your order reaches $50 before tax and shipping, you'll also get the Tinsel Gems 4-pack. This is the set I've been using, but you'll get a full set in the mail with your kit. And I am also using these on these cards. So your kit will include all the paper that you need to create 2 of each of these cards. And I'll show you how I keep everything together for you as we go along. Okay, so this is the stamp set. I love how you can combine this big, beautiful sending with all of these sentiments here for a wide variety of cards for pretty much any occasion. I usually have my little grid paper here taped down. I didn't do that today, so let's see how this goes. I'm going to open a window. Well, I'm not opening the window. It's hot outside, y'all. But I'll open the blinds. There we go. Maybe that helped a little bit with the lighting. Okay, so for each card, you'll get 2 envelopes. And inside each envelope, it's all your pieces to create your card. So you've got your card base, and inside that card base, you have pieces of cardstock and Designer Series paper. Now, the pieces that you're going to be stamping on, I'll include 2. That way you can flip it over and stamp on the back if you mess it up. And if you still messed it up, you have 2 more tries. So, because you can always do the front and the back of these. And so on this card, we'll be using the sending. In fact, all 3 cards use sending. So for the eye, it has an itty bitty dot on it. So I went ahead and put the itty bitty dot on that outline. In your sending, let me go ahead and show you this. We'll go ahead and put it together. So I used an adhesive sheet whenever I cut these out. I went ahead and put it on the cardstock, then used my die to cut out the word. And so now you can peel the backing off when you get your kit, and you can just stick this on the outline. I'll show you how I like to do it. And be very careful while you're pulling this backing off. As you can see, it wants to pull sometimes. You don't want to rip your word. I am only sending 1 for each card that you'll be making. So what I like to do is line up this D in the middle. And then I can put the rest of my letters on either direction. And that just helps me to keep it straight and centered pretty well. There you go. So, and I suppose if you want to mix and match, you can. Your I will just be dotted a little different than the rest of your word. Okay, so there's our sending, and that's ready for later. The only stamping on this particular card is in Memento. Of course, if you don't have Memento, you could use probably Blueberry Bushel would work. And the sentiment that I chose to use is birthday wishes. I'm always needing masculine cards for birthdays. And sometimes I struggle with those a little bit. So I thought that this one, I know it's going to have a little bit of bling on it, but that's okay. I still think it's going to look great. Okay, so I'm using my grid paper here. I don't know if you can see that, but I'm kind of lining it up. And then I'm going to put my block down on it, on the stamp to pick it up. So I'm going to ink. Hopefully y'all aren't seeing the top of my head here while I look down. There you go. That turned out pretty well. So I'm going to just leave that as it is. I don't need my second piece. Put up that Memento ink. Now I'm going to put together my layers. So I always include a 4 by 5 1/4 inch piece of either basic white or very vanilla. Usually it's basic white that you can use inside your card. So I'm going to set that aside for now. And then I have a smaller piece here that we can layer on top of this Blueberry Bushel. But before we do that, let's go ahead and add this Gingham Designer Series paper to the front of the basic white. So I'm going to put that, see, I like this side better, so I'm going to put that right about here. We're maybe 1/2 inch or so from the bottom of the card. I just want to make sure that's straight. And then I'm going to take a couple of glue dots, and I want to put one on each end of my ribbon. Normally I don't include ribbon in your kits, but this time this is the only ribbon for all 3 cards, so I decided why not, let's go ahead and put this in your kit. So I think that that is doable. It's not going to be a crazy amount of ribbon, and then you'll have everything that you need to get this card made. So what I like to do is just put the glue dot on the end of the ribbon, and then place the ribbon right here on the gingham. You can adjust it around a little bit. Okay, so then the sending, I'm going to use the glue again. Oops. There we go. Trying to keep that pretty straight there. And then the birthday wishes. So you can use either just normal Stampin' Dimensionals. I like to use the mini. If you use the normal dimensionals, you can cut them in half to make them fit on the back here. So there's that. Just line this up underneath. There you go. Okay. So now I'm going to put this Blueberry Bushel piece on my card base. Whenever I do my classes to go, of course, everyone has access to this video on YouTube, but I will send you the link to the video so that you can look it up later if you want to do this card, several months down the road if you don't get to your kit right away. And I also send you the PDF tutorial. So if you don't want to watch the video again, you just want to do it you're looking at the paper tutorial, then you will have that as well. And the PDF tutorial has all the supplies that I use on it, and it also has measurements. So you'll get all the measurements for everything. So if you want to create these cards at home, again, then you can, or if you want to create them using different colors maybe. I like to do that sometimes. Okay, I'm using lots of dimensionals here. Spaced them kind of weird, so whatever works. I've been in the barn a lot this past week, and somehow I have managed to really mangle, well, not mangle, but I've got all these little scratches on my hands. I don't know how those are coming across on the video. Hopefully not too bad. Okay, there you go. So for the inside of the card, I'm not quite finished with the outside. I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but I have this strip of designer series paper. So you can put it towards the bottom, you can put it towards the top, you can put it at exactly the bottom. I like to leave, sometimes I like to leave a little bit of the edge showing there. And then I like to just take my paper snips. I might remember to cut yours the right size, who knows, but if I cut it too long, just take the paper snips and trim off the edges there. And then this can be the inside of your card. And like I said, you can either put it on the top. I'm going to put it on the bottom to kind of match the strip that goes across the bottom of the front of the card. Okay, and then my dots, I'm just going to use 2 of these. And this is why I used Lemon Lime Twist, I think, because that's what color this dot is. This is Lemon Lime Twist, Berry Burst, Blueberry Bushel, and Pretty Peacock. I love the way everything coordinates. So there's our first card. If you want to add a flower or something to the card base, you can, or maybe another strip of that designer series paper. I'm not including that in the kit. Of course, you don't get the stamps in the kit either. Because you may already have them, or you might want to use something different. But you can always decorate the envelope if you want to. I'm going to leave it blank because it's a masculine card, and yeah, I'm just not feeling it today. Okay, so the next card. Let's clear that off a little bit. Make some room. Okay, so here's the next card. Let's see what this is. This is a fun fold. Forgot about this. Okay. See, I designed these last week, and I have already forgotten what I was doing. So I'm just gonna, this is already scored for you. So you just fold that piece back. Okay, so for this long strip here, I'm going to use my liquid glue. If you don't like liquid glue, I love liquid glue, but if you don't like liquid glue, then that's okay. No judgment here. You can always use a Stampin' Seal or whatever your favorite adhesive is. But that's why I like liquid glue, is because when I get it a little crooked, I have a minute to straighten it up. Although this time, okay, it's just going to be a little off. That's okay. Okay, so now I'm going to glue. For some reason today I'm feeling a little anxious maybe about, I don't know, maybe I'm just in a hurry. There's so much to do this summer, and I'm finding myself rushing, and it's making me mess up. I'm trying, really I am trying to slow down. I don't usually rush this fast. Trying to be aware of my time and yours. Okay, so there's those pieces. Now, I got a little bit of glue right here. I can't really see it, but I know it's there. So I'm going to use, this is an adhesive remover. I got it off of Amazon. I'm not an affiliate or anything. It's just where I found this one. And it just cleans up any glue. You have to let the glue dry a little bit, but then it'll clean it right up. It's very handy. because sometimes, even when I'm not rushing, I still make mistakes. Okay, so just put glue on the part that is going to be on the gingham piece here, or whatever your adhesive is. Then flip that over, and you want to make sure, yep, looks good. And then I moved it. Okay, so there is that. Now, let's put this sending together. So this is when your take your pick tool comes in really handy, because it just helps to get in between this backing and the sticky stuff to get it started. Okay, we're going to try it a different way the next time if I remember. I thought of this the other day and then I forgot to do it. Okay, so this time I'm doing it the same way I did the first one. I'm starting with that D, doing the right letters, and then I'll do the left side letters. Okay, so there's the sending. That's in Blueberry Bushel and Basic White. Okay, I can't send stamped images. I would love to, but I can't. And it's really hard to, stamp on these shapes like this. So rather than send just the shapes, I'm going to send you a piece of cardstock that you can stamp on, and then you can either use the dies to cut it out, or if you don't want to purchase the dies, that's fine. This is the only flower that needs to be cut out in the whole kit. So you can fussy cut around this part, and then fussy cut around the leaves, and then assemble it. So I used Blueberry Bushel, Lemon Lime Twist for the center, and this is Pretty Peacock on the stem and the leaves here. So I'm just going to put the tiniest little dot of glue right here. Then I'm going to put my flower on that. Okay, so once that's done, I'm going to use, I think I'm going to use those mini Stampin' Dimensionals again. So there's 1, 2, 3. Then I'm going to put one on the stem down here by the leaves. And I do think that that is enough. Yep, I think that's enough. Okay, so I'm just going to take the backing off of these. I sounded very confident saying that was enough, didn't I? I was thinking, I tend to go a little crazy with dimensionals. I love using them, and I do kind of overdo it sometimes, I think. Maybe. Can you really overdo dimensionals? I don't know. Okay, so now I'm going to take the sending. I'm going to use those mini dimensionals again, just because I think they're perfect for the back of this outline of this word. So there's a sending stamp in the stamp set as well. What do I do with that? I'll put it here so you can see it. So see, you can stamp that and use this outline to just stamp out the word, and then you can just use the outline to cut out the word. That's what I was saying. But I really like the way it looks whenever I use the dies. Plus, by using the dies, I could send you the whole word, so that's one less thing that you have to do at home if you get the kit. Okay, so I cut that dimensional in half, and I'm going to put it right there. So the sending can go right here. You want to make sure that your dimensionals aren't hanging over that back flap. And then again, you have 2 of these long strips. This time I'm using Sunshine to brighten your day. And I'm going to stamp it in the Blueberry Bushel ink. So again, I'm laying down my stamp and then picking it up with my block. Inking it up real quick. See if I can stamp in the center of this long one. It's a little more challenging to get this one straight. Typically I like to stamp and then die cut, but I want to make sure that it's doable for y'all to do this at home. Okay, so now I need my mini dimensionals again. We'll just put these on the back here. I might need to move some of them. I'm not being real careful about where they're going. Yeah, this one here, I'm going to move it a little bit this way. There we go. Okay, isn't that a fun fold? Okay, so now let's do the inside, and the inside is going to be a little bit different. And again, I'm not quite finished with the outside, but I want to get this inside done because you can see the inside from the outside with this fun fold. So, I'm taking my blueberry bushel because that's what we used on the front. And then I'm taking one of the smaller flowers. This isn't the smallest flower, it's just one of the smaller flowers. And I'm going to stamp it right here on the edge. Okay, now I'm going to ink it again. I'm going to stamp off once, and I'm going to stamp kind of over that one. I'm going to ink, stamp off, stamp again, ink. I'm going to stamp off twice, ink, or stamp, ink, stamp off twice, do it again, inking it up, stamping it off 3 times. So there is a reason that I am inking it between every one, and I'm going to show you what I learned when I was doing this stamp, or this set. Okay, so there you go. You can space them however you want. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the center of this flower. So it's the tiny little dot. I'm going to use my lemon lime twist. So stamping it full. I'm going to go ahead and stamp this one full too. Then I'm going to stamp off once. Stamp it off once. Probably doesn't matter quite as much with the dot. And this is a very light color, so the most I ever stamp off is twice. And it's just on these last 2. But let me show you what happens if you don't re-ink between every one. I hope you can see this. Okay, so do you see how there's the lines of the darker bits here that are real straight? And so that's what happens whenever you don't stamp off between. And you can see it even better, I think, on this one. So it's just not as pretty, I think, if you don't stamp off. Alright, so I'm about to need a new glue bottle, but I think I can get through these. Okay, so this one goes right here. So all of these flowers are going to be covered up whenever you have your card closed, but whenever you open it, you'll be able to see it. And you can score this a little bit better. I probably will before I send it to you, but then you can score it again too. Plus shipping it will keep it closed a little bit better than what I've got going on right now. So I'm using my Take Your Pick tool again. I'm going to use these blueberry dots. And then that card is finished. So you can see how it looks closed and opened. I love fun folds, and that one is one of my favorites. It's very versatile. Okay, so for the envelope for this card, I do want to decorate that. And I think I'm going to do what I often do and just open up my envelope and stamp right here on the flap. So I'm going to use this large flower top that we had used for the card, not what we used on the inside, but what we used on the front. And I'm just going to stamp that here on the flap. And then I'm going to use Lemon Lime Twist to do the center of it again. Make sure I've got the right center. I almost grabbed that small one again. I'm just going to ink that up. Stamp that right there in the center. And then if you wanted to, you could also, or instead of doing the one on the flap, you could do one right here. But I just want the one on the flap. And then my card is all ready to go with a coordinating envelope. Okay, so for this last card, the sending is in basic black and pretty peacock. So pretty. So again, on all of these, I've just got that eye already dotted here on the background. But let's see what happens. This is an experiment, y'all. I haven't done this yet. So we'll see. You can decide if you want to do yours the way I've been doing them, by peeling the backing off completely and then starting with the center, the D in the middle there. Or let's see what happens if we just peel the backing off of the S. I don't know why I didn't think of this before. And go letter by letter so we don't have all the sticky stuff exposed at the same time. We can go a little bit slower and not worry so much about maybe stretching these letters out a little bit. So far, I think this is working pretty great. I've got a little bit more control doing it this way. And I'm not feeling quite, I don't know, for some reason I was feeling really rushed earlier. It's weird how you do that sometimes. Okay, yeah, that worked great. So there's another way that you can do that, peel that backing off. You don't have to have your take your pick tool, but it works so well to get in there and separate those out. Okay, so the first step to this card is going to be to go ahead and take your gingham piece, put your adhesive on the back, then you want to put this on the bottom of the front of your card, and your piece of gingham should go the full width of your card base there. Okay. So now you have two basic white pieces that are the same size. You only need one of these, but I did include two just in case you don't like the way the first one turns out, or you make a boo-boo that you don't think you can cover up. Okay, so I have already stamped these once, and I am going to use my second piece of cardstock. I'm going to use this later. I'm going to go ahead and I think I'm going to stamp and then die cut some of my flowers out, because I made these to where they're overlapping too much. I should have strained this flower up a little bit more instead of leaning it this way. So I'm just going to re-stamp all of this really quickly, and I think this time I may stamp my bigger flowers first. We'll see. Okay, so when you're stamping, I recommend having your sending right here on your card, so you see, hey, I don't want to stamp where that is because I'm going to have words there. So I have the mini leaved stamp. I'm going to stamp with it first. I'm just going to stamp it kind of off the page here. Okay, next I'm going to use the longest one. I'm not stamping off. I want my flower to be right about there. Okay, I'm using the mini leaf stamp again. Put it there. I'm going to use the one with only 2 leaves next. I can go this way. That might be a little high, but we'll see. The mini leaves again, stamp it off. I'm going to stamp it a little lower. Okay, the 2 leaves one more time. This is where I messed up before. I'm going to kind of straighten that up a little bit. There we go. Mini leaves, stamp that off. And then I'm going to do the long one again, and I'm going to put it pretty close to the edge here and up a little higher. And then I'm going to use that mini leaf one more time to go right about there. I just want it to look very full on the bottom. You can do yours however you prefer. So I'm going to use my pink one. So this is Berry Burst. I think I stamped that upside down. So normally I stamp this stamp like this, but today I seem to be doing it like this, which works. It's okay. Okay, so now I'm using this flower. This makes me think of a bluebonnet. I'm sure it's not a bluebonnet, but that's what it makes me think of. So I'm going to stamp it kind of lower on here, right about there. And then this one, right about there. Okay, so there's all of our flowers. Okay, so now let's put this stamp to, oh, one more thing. So before we do anything else, I'm going to put this up here about where I want it. Put it right there with that G kind of in between. So I'm using a note of thanks as my stamp for this one, and I'm going to stamp that using the Pretty Peacock. So I'm going to stamp it right here under the sending and beside that blue flower. Okay, so now I'm going to use my liquid glue. And put this on that basic black background. Okay, this one, I'm going to use dimensionals, and I am going to use just normal dimensionals this time. So there is that, and so this sending, I'm going to use those mini dimensionals again. And like I said, if you don't have both dimensionals, it's fine. You can always cut up the larger ones. It's just really handy to have these little ones. I'm going to use this piece I cut earlier to put up here on the D. There we go. Okay, so for this one that's hanging out, I'm going to go ahead and slip another mini dimensional up underneath this S. And this is another time when your take your pick tool is going to come in really handy. There we go. So I'm just going to put it right there. That'll keep that from getting all bent. And then I'm going to do the same thing for that D. Take the backing off of it. doesn't have to be exactly the same size as the other half that you cut. There we go. Just to give it a little lift so it doesn't get mushed down. Okay, and then let's get our fun tinsel gems. I'm going to use Berry Burst this time. Let's put one, I don't know, about here. So this is one of those cards. You're probably not going to have two cards that look alike. They're all going to be a little different, and that's okay. That's the fun of it. That's the art of it. Okay, so there we go. There is the front of our card. And now for the inside of our card, let's get this larger piece of basic white. And let's use the pretty peacock to stamp the stem right about here. And then we'll use the blueberry bushel again. You can use whichever flower and whichever stem you want, but this is what I'm doing. There we go. And then I think that's looking pretty bare. So I think what I might do, let's see if this is going to work. I'm experimenting again, y'all. Sorry, I don't usually do this on my videos. I like to have it all figured out, but I don't have it all figured out today, so we're just gonna see how this goes. So I stamped it, again, upside down to how I normally stamp. That's fine. That's no big deal. And I'm gonna stamp this one kind of wonky and going off the page. And then I think I'm going to go ahead and grab this stamp again. I feel like there's a lot of white space down here. So let's go ahead and grab this stamp and we'll put it there to kind of fill in. Is that too crazy? I don't know. I like it. So there's an idea for what you can do on the inside. Let's go ahead and put this in there. I feel like the inside of cards and envelopes, it's just another opportunity to get creative and maybe in a little bit of a different way. You don't want your inside of your card to look exactly like the front of your card, but you don't want it to be blank either. You want to keep the fun going. Okay, so now let's just do this stamp. Right here. You want to leave room for a postage stamp in case you have to put a postage stamp on it. So let's just put that right there, and then we'll use that Berry Burst again, and I'm gonna just keep stamping it the way I've been stamping it. So let's just put that right there, and I think that's good for the front because you don't want to get it too busy in case you're putting it through the mail. Alright, so let's clear this off a little. My space looks like I've been crafting. That's a good look. But let's clear it off a little so you can see these cards that we just created. Okay, so we've got this one. We have our fun fold. And then the first one that we created. I hope that you like these. If you would like to place an order, there we go. If you would like to place an order to get this class in the mail to go, remember you get 2 of each of these cards, complete with the envelopes, and it's just ready for you to stamp and assemble. The one card, the Fun Fold card, this one, if you don't have the dies, you will have to fussy cut just the flower part, but everything else is ready to go for you. So use this host code right there, and by the end of the day, like by midnight, July 2nd, and make sure that your order before tax and shipping reaches $35, and you will get this class to go in the mail. And if you would like to have the Tinsel Gems 4-pack, the full package of this included in your class kit, then either make sure your order reaches $50 before shipping and tax, or you can just add it as part of your order. All right, y'all. Thank you for watching. Thank you for putting up with my, I don't know, my rushing today. I don't know what that was all about. But I hope you have a great weekend. And if you have any questions, as always, feel free to reach out. And happy stamping.